Welcome to the Gold Plus Roundup, the monthly show where we review every single PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold game and tell you what's worth your time. Because the games may come free with your subscription, but your time is valuable. We're going to tell you what's worth your time. First up is one that is worth your time, Mad Max for PlayStation 4. It's an open world game similar to in the vein of a GTA, except you are in the post-apocalyptic world of Mad Max. The cars are great, the upgrades in the cars are great. I think the story is really cool too. I think that it's everything you would want a Mad Max game to be, but unfortunately it just came out at a very bad time and bombed because of that. If it wasn't for the timing for the game release, it would have done great, but it came out around the same time as Fallout 4, which is just unfortunate. I would say definitely play this game. If you have a PlayStation 4, you need to play it because it's free. Why not? Up next is Dead Space 2 for Xbox 360, backwards compatible to Xbox One. Again, another game that is a must play, especially if you like horror games. The game is a third-person action shooter, but it is suspense-driven. It is a horror game. So what that means is you're going to have a little scarcity of ammo, you're going to have some jump scares, but overall, it's a great game. I really recommend it unless you completely just can't do horror. I totally recommend this game. The gameplay is great, and this is before they went off the deep end with Dead Space 3 and ruined the franchise completely. I think this is a great game. If you haven't played Dead Space, you can still jump in on 2. I think that it polished up a lot of the game mechanics, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Up next, we have Trackmania Turbo, which we reviewed for Xbox the previous month. This is out for PlayStation 4. It's free, but it's not that great. I mean, it's an okay racer. It's an okay arcade kart racer, but it's not polished enough. The gameplay mechanics are okay, but it's really repetitive. Your campaign is just time trials, and it's really not worth it. And also, there's the music. I mean, there's no music, so skip it. And speaking of racers, we have Cars 2 for Xbox 360 and backwards compatible to Xbox One. This game is actually pretty good. It's more of a Sonic clone than it is a Mario Kart clone, because it has a little bit more drifting. Then again, Mario adopted that as well. But the cars can also jump in this game because they're anthropomorphic cars. The jumping mechanic is interesting, but also your car can drive backwards because they did it in the movie, so they had to do it in the game. I think this is a pretty solid racing game. I think a lot of people will enjoy it, but unfortunately it has no online multiplayer. Without that, I think it's knocking down quite a few pegs because you need to have someone else play couch co-op with you, and you don't always get to have that for racing games. Racing games are very short. To me, they can get repetitive if you play them for long periods of time, as opposed to a co-op couch game. So I think if it had multiplayer, it'd be better, but I would say that's the pick. If you're going to play a racing game this month, that's your pick, is Cars 2. And then we have Toy Home for PlayStation 3, which is a boring racer with very repetitive music that some people may enjoy, but I didn't. You're a toy car, and you're driving around and hitting other toys, and honestly, this is just... unless you really like racing games, or you have some 5 or 6 year olds, then maybe they'll like it. I could not stand it. It was boring, it was repetitive. It's one of the worst racing games that I've played on this channel. I'm sorry, but you gotta skip it. Up next, we have The Witness for Xbox One. I've played this on PC and Xbox One now, and I will say it is one of the best puzzle games I've played in my life. It builds upon what Myst started, and that's actually what the creator was trying to do, is make a better puzzle game, but was loving the environment of Myst. The puzzles build on themselves, the concepts build, so if you learn a concept for a puzzle in one place, then it can be used later on in another. I would encourage you, try your hardest to try to solve the puzzles. If not, see if you can find someone who has a hint or some type of tutorial where they talk you through why the answer to the puzzle is the answer. I encourage you to do that as opposed to just trying to go walkthroughs. If you have a walkthrough, make sure it's explaining the why behind that puzzle, because it will build on itself. Overall, it's an amazing game. The graphics are really good in my opinion. They are interesting in the color palette, but the mystery in this is totally worth your time, and the puzzles are just great. There's nothing like solving one of those puzzles and that feeling of accomplishment that you have when you figure that out. It's just amazing. And then we have In Space We Brawl for PlayStation 3, crossed by with PlayStation 4. And honestly, it's multiplayer asteroids. It's got screen wrap and destructible rocks, but it's just not that great. It's maybe a fun party game, but the difference in the ships is really, really subjective and small. Basically, there's one ship that's going to rule them all, and if you're not picking it, then you haven't played the game before, basically, is what it amounts to. I'd totally skip this game. It's not worth your time. Don't even plug in your PlayStation 3 for it, and don't download it on your PlayStation 4 because you need that hard drive space. Up next is Assassin's Creed Syndicate for Xbox One. And maybe it's because I'm playing it after they patched it, but it's a pretty fun game. It's not my favorite Assassin's Creed game, but the environment in this is great. We're in Victorian England. The streets and the environment and the way people talk is just amazing. It's very immersive, just like a lot of the other Assassin's Creed games. Basically, all of the Assassin's Creed games. I would definitely recommend this if you're an Assassin's Creed fan. If this is your first Assassin's Creed game, you may not want to play it. I would probably steer you down to Black Flag or maybe Assassin's Creed Origins. I think it'd be a better start. Honestly, I think you should start at the beginning, but if you're going to start somewhere that's more recent, I may skip this, but if you're a fan of the series, you definitely should be playing this game. And then we have 99 Vidas, not Vitas. I'm really bad at pronouncing it because it's Portuguese, but it's a great beat 'em up, very similar to Scott Pilgrim. A lot of football jokes, which makes sense because it's from Brazil. The music is good. The 8-bit sprite art style is really good, especially for the Vita. It lends itself very well there. No matter what your level of button mashing skill is or beat 'em ups, then you'll definitely like this. It's definitely one to check out if you've got your PlayStation Vita, and there's not a lot of other games coming out for it, so definitely play it. It's fun. Lastly, we have QBert Rebooted, and it shouldn't have been. Honestly, unless you're a huge fan of QBert, I would skip this. It does have some interesting graphical upgrades, but I don't think it was really one that was needed. There's new levels and objectives and rewards. The game is also released on iOS and Android, and the graphics are kind of, I guess, high-end for a phone, but really, this is QBert we're talking about. Did the game need a reboot? Did it need higher graphics? If you want to play QBert, go play QBert. It doesn't lend itself to modern gaming. It's not really worth it unless you really enjoy the history of gaming. If you've not played it before, you just want to have it available because you really like older games, that's fine. But if you're not in that camp, the majority of people are going to want to skip this game. They're going to be sorely disappointed. But at least you're glad you didn't pay money for it. So let us know in the comments what you think about our picks, what you think was one that we maybe should have recommended that we didn't, and if you're a big fan of QBert, because some people out there are, or if you like Joust better. Let us know in the comments. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.